Welcome to Cotman Crawford and the Jersey Guy podcast.
What's up, guys? We just did this for about 10 minutes and realized my fucking stupid ass didn't hit the record button.
Yeah.
So we're starting over.
We're talking about Star Wars because today we're recording the podcast episode drops Wednesday. So
yep.
This past Sunday was Star Wars Days. So
that's right.
We're going to do a Star Wars episode.
May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Yeah. So, this past weekend, I went with Chase. We went to go see Revenge of the Sith. It was really, really good. We saw it in the Cinemark theaters. They have what's those D-box seats, and you remember the D-box seats. What I was talking about before.
Right. I've been on the simulators in certain parks and
like
stuff.
A simulator ride, but they have it for movies now, and that is so fucking awesome because that's something I always loved as a kid, and I was always like, imagine if they did this with movies, and now they're doing it. I mean, it is. You do pay a premium seat because the seats, and of course they're in like the best area too, the like middle section. Like,
they probably tested it and
they
checked it out where it felt better to do it, right?
They cost like $25 a seat, but
whatever.
You don't see every movie in it. You see movies that are worth seeing, and Revenge of the Sith.
Wasn't there an anniversary that just came up with them?
Was
that recent? An anniversary with Star Wars?
Yeah, that's now. 20 years, Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, nice.
How crazy
that is crazy, man.
20 years old.
Wow.
I remember when that was out. Wow.
It seems like yesterday.
And that's my favorite movie. But that's my favorite of the Star Wars movie. But first I want to get into how awesome it was with those D-box seats, because the first scene is when they're flying over Coruscant, right? They're just like every time you move, and it crashes into General Grievous's ship, and it's like, when he goes, nice, or what does he say? He goes, another perfect landing or something like that.
Right. And you feel all of that when you're doing that, right?
It's cool. It's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, that's great, man.
Yeah.
And that story alone, like what we were saying earlier, is it's one of the best movies. I think.
Is.
That one is a really good one. You were saying
it's my favorite.
And your favorite, for the reason it is your favorite, you were explaining before. Please explain again. If you don't mind.
The reason it's my favorite Star Wars movie is because it's got the best story. It really does. It's such a good story that they had to have 2 prequels for it, because episode 1 and 2, if you think about it, are actual like they're preludes to the third one. The third one is the important one. The first one is all world building, because you need to. You have to start the story. You have to create all these characters. You got to world build the shit out of it, right? Then episode 2 is where you're starting to get the plot of the Clone Wars. They got to understand what's happening here. They start, and that's like the start of the Clone Wars, why they got the Clone Wars going. And the Clone Wars are the reason for Emperor Palpatine, or Senator Palpatine at the time.
And Anakin's older by this time.
To take over power for Chancellor, saying that the current Chancellor doesn't know what he's doing. They're going to take over Chancellor. And then with the Clone Wars, he gets emergency power and never leaves office. Because, the Clone Wars, I can't leave power now. I got to stay here and organize this. And he's doing all this conniving. He's actually acting as Darth Sidious, the one who started the war. He's getting all, him and, what's his name? Oh my God. Why am I having the tip of my tongue? Darth Tyrannus.
Okay.
Darth Tyrannus.
See, I would have never known
what's
that.
his
so
name?
That's okay. I couldn't even help you if I wanted to.
Yeah. But anyway, they get They start the whole Clone Wars, and then because
Anakin
then you see the fall of Anakin.
Is older by this time.
Yeah. He's older. You see the fall, and he's still the Padawan. He's got the ponytail.
Right.
Padawans have the ponytail.
Right.
What did I say about Anakin?
His downfall.
Yeah, his downfall. You get to see the scene when his mom gets killed by the Tusken Raiders, and he takes out the entire clan of Tusken Raiders, but he also kills he goes, I killed the women and children too. And that's when that's his first taste of
And who was he telling that to when he said that?
Padme.
Oh.
Remember?
Oh, that's right.
And she forgave him for it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's the only plot hole, I think, because she's she's like,
because I guess of who the people
she's
was
like
that
a humanitarian type person, she's all for good and
right. But in this case, she was okay with it.
Yeah, that's okay. You just killed a bunch of women and children. I'll stay with. I'll marry you.
So, nobody's gonna miss those people. That's crazy.
Fuck them sand
Yeah,
people.
for me,
that's basically
right. That's exactly They're just sand
They're
people.
racist.
Who cares?
That's what they are. They're fucking racist. No, anyway.
For me, it was the lightsaber fight in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole movie was good, but at the end, it was just that was just great choreography. The way they did that, and it was just a battle. It was awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'll recap again because I talked about that. Our first recording,
right?
When he says it's over, Anakin. I have the higher ground, and the reason why Anakin does that move where he wants to flip over is because he is being super cocky. He wants to use Obi-Wan's move that he used to kill Darth Maul in episode 1 when he does that flip and then kills Darth Maul that way. He's trying to do the same thing to Obi-Wan, the person he saw do it. Or heard the story of him do it because he wasn't there. And because he was still a kid then,
right?
So he does that move, but the problem is, he said, "It's over, Anakin. I have the higher ground." So you have, Obi-Wan's up here, and
he's below
Anakin's
him.
Down here. He's got the higher ground, so he does that jump.
But he loses.
Most of his jump is in front of Obi-Wan, and then by the time he's over Obi-Wan, he just doesn't have. He's as high of a jump, and Obi-Wan slices off his arms and legs.
Right. That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So.
And then he catches on fire.
Yeah.
And he loses his mind.
Yep, yeah.
That was a good scene.
You were a brother, Anakin. I loved you. I hate you.
Yeah, that was crazy. But here's the thing about crazy thing about Star Wars. I don't want to jump ahead, but like when the whole story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how George Lucas explains it. In the sense where, it's about, Skywalker coming and saving. Remember, I guess because the kid was so high on the chart for being, with the
high,
Force.
M count,
for the Force
count, yeah.
And he was the one to put balance into it. And long story short, he winds up doing that anyway, but he does it as Darth Vader. He doesn't do it as Anakin.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
But still, does that give him a pass on all the shit that he did as far as the people and everybody he took out?
It does, because he's in living force again. And I have a theory behind this. So I want to discuss this.
Okay.
Because I've had this theory for a while. And I think it's well explained if you watch the Ahsoka series. So he does fulfill the prophecy of restoring balance to the Force, but balance didn't mean destroying the Sith. Balance, or meant, actually being. He's like the first after death. He's like the first gray Jedi.
Okay,
and I know that's the thing is that he is balanced now. He is equal Darth Vader, and he is equal Anakin Skywalker.
Right, and
they show that if you watch the Ahsoka series,
you see the change
when she's in the world between worlds, which they never show a live action. It's the first time they show the world between worlds in live action. They showed it in Rebels, and I don't know if they showed it in the Clone Wars. It was definitely in Rebels though.
Okay,
and it's kind of like the world. So I guess people can visit each other in the afterlife. Or is the afterlife up? That I'm not sure.
Isn't that the same thing that when Obi-Wan told? When Yoda told Obi-Wan that he was going to teach him how to communicate to his master.
Yeah, Qui-Gon.
Yeah. Qui-Gon, thank you. Yes. So wouldn't that be the same thing? Because they're in that.
Well, they can appear as Force ghosts, but she's actually in the world between.
Right. Okay.
So she, he switches back and forth from Anakin to Darth Vader. Sometimes it's just he's I call it Anakin Vader when he's not in the suit.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's got the yellow eyes and then there's another scene you see him when he's walking away, like flashes, you see Vader holding the
right, you see the red and then you see his face, the mask.
Yeah, like
so they did that really well. They did that really well.
So he's like balanced. He does both. He's darkness imbued by light and light tempered by darkness. He's like equal. You know what I mean? So that's his what
he found his happy medium,
and he brought balance to the Force.
Right.
He still did it, but it wasn't in the way that
everybody thought it was going to be. Yeah. Right. Like, he's going to bring balance, but how? As a human balance. Somebody really took that I think Yoda knew that because he felt like something didn't feel right to him from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
He was not having it.
And Mace Windu didn't trust him for shit. He's the one who said, "We do not grant." He goes, "You are part of the Jedi Council, but we do not grant you master."
Wow. Hey, they felt something, man.
Yeah.
Did they do that on purpose?
Well,
as far as not granting because they felt like something wasn't right.
And, well, he was so young yet, and like they never made someone, and so
right. He was too young. So how old does someone have to be when they
be on the council? I don't know.
But, no, not on the council, but to be a master.
Oh yeah, probably that too. But he was like very powerful, fast track. But he was very cocky and very,
right. And they knew that, because he was still going through teenage crap and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense, man. But they knew that it's cool. Well, what about the story about what's the character in the same movie where he gets his hand cut off? He's fighting Palpatine.
That's episode 2, right?
Yeah, 3. When he falls out the window. Isn't that?
Oh, you're talking about Windu, Mace Windu. Yeah. That's. Oh, yeah. He was fighting Palpatine. Yeah. Sorry, I got confused. Yeah, that's episode 3. That's
so. Right. What happens to him? Is there ever going to be a story about that at all? At some point,
they left it open ended
because you don't know if he's dead or alive.
Jedi can, they can slow down their falls, and
just because he got his hand cut off doesn't mean
anything.
It was his hand, right, or his arm?
They show him in the Clone Wars. Doing some crazy jump too, Mace Windu.
Really?
Yeah, like off a friggin' cliff. And, they used the Force to slow them down.
Okay.
So, and he could have landed on a moving, car or something like that. So they left it open ended because you don't see him die.
They should do a story on him. Yeah, they should do it and see what does he become? What does he wind up doing?
It's great too now because Samuel Jackson's a lot older now, so they can have it years later.
And someone who plays him younger.
No. They can have it like maybe he makes an appearance in like the Mandalorian series, or something like that, and he's older because he'd be aged perfectly.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 20 years later.
Yeah.
From that.
Okay. Makes sense. I mean? Right. Exactly. If you do the math.
Too. I'm such a nerd. I use ChatGPT and I write alternate
You're in good company, my friend.
Yeah. I write alternate stories. Or sometimes I talk to ChatGPT, I'm like, they need to do a Vader series. And we actually wrote like a 4-season.
Isn't there a Vader series coming out?
I never heard of
I thought I saw something on
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought
because there's a lot of fan-made stuff.
They do a lot of fan-made stuff, but man, I was like, imagine if they come out with a Vader series. It's got to
be like from the official like Disney or Star Wars.
That would be a good series. Would you watch that? Yeah, of course you would, right?
Yeah, like I said, I wrote 4 seasons.
Really? You're out of your mind.
I'm out of my mind.
Where do you get this time where you're actually writing 4 seasons?
Sometimes.
Are you dictating this to somebody or to ChatGPT? Is that
yeah. I knew it. What I want ChatGPT to like outline.
That's awesome.
Do this. So like the first episode I take from the comic book where like the Sith, the part of the Sith lore, and they added that. That was like, it wasn't from the original trilogy. They really don't explain it much, but they, in order to get a red lightsaber, you have to, as a Sith, kill a Jedi without having a lightsaber. You can't have a lightsaber.
Oh, so you have to do it. It's almost like proving yourself to them.
I think they portray that.
Was it like an initiation or something?
They portray that in the series that didn't do well, the Acolyte.
Okay.
They actually portray that in the Acolyte. You're supposed to kill a Jedi without a lightsaber, right?
Okay.
Take their lightsaber, bleed the crystal, and now you have a
red lightsaber. Wow, that's fucked up.
And to bleed the crystal, you're supposed to like pour all your hate and anger into
it. Now, what
it,
is it
and
for?
It cracks and turns red.
What about the opposite way? When a Jedi kills a Sith for the first time, is there anything?
No, it's just they don't have any. Yeah, but the Sith have like this whole lore. Like that's what kind of makes it badass. Like you gotta kill a Jedi, take their crystal and bleed.
Then how did Vader get his red saber?
You don't see that, but in the comic book, that's what happens.
He kills somebody.
Sends him to go kill. He's got to kill a Jedi and bleed the crystal, and that's so. So if I were to write so when I like did this whole thing, I wrote like a whole thing on it. I wrote on it. Is the door open for? Oh, anyway.
No, you keep talking.
So in the comic book, he does that. You get to see him do that. So like I did that. That'd be so awesome if they showed that like in the very first episode. Like at the end of the episode, I have it where he bleeds the crystal and the lightsaber turns on and glows his whole face, and then it cuts to credits. How awesome would that be for a pilot episode at the end? He does this whole thing where he just fights a Jedi, kills a Jedi, bleeds the crystal, and then does that. So, but yeah, and like it would be so awesome if they did that. The first series, there's about 17 years in between episode 3 and 4, or something like that. It's like 17 or 19 years. That's a lot of story writing for Vader. You do like 2 seasons on that, and then another 2 seasons that take place in between episode 4 and 6, and you can see some more behind the scenes stuff. You can see when he finds out that the person who killed because what happens is in the story, I think Boba Fett, he sends out Boba Fett to find out like who blew up the Death Star, who's the rebel that blew up the Death Star, that made that kill shot.
Right.
And Boba Fett reports back to him, his name's Skywalker. And then like, that's got to set him off. And then he realizes like, I have a son, he's alive. And that's when Anakin starts to come back to him a little bit, just a little bit, shining through. And he, that's why he doesn't kill his son. He's trying to turn to the dark side because he wants to be with his son. He wants to be with his blood. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how the whole redemption arc happens. And, he ends up saving him,
That's crazy. Just amazing that you know all this shit, man. And you're right, episodes. I mean, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, and before recording, I was talking about the lightsaber form, how Obi-Wan uses Form 2 Soresu, which is a defensive form of lightsaber combat.
Wow. So how many, let me ask you, how many lightsaber forms are there?
I believe there's 6. I don't know them all. I just know that.
And I bet you there's probably katas for each one of those forms. Like, in other words, if there's a certain style.
They all have like,
they have a bunch of different katas.
They all sound like Japanese too.
Right.
All the,
which makes sense for, well, most martial arts just have katas depending on what it is.
I believe Anakin uses Form 5.
Okay.
You can probably look it up. If you look up lightsaber forms, you'll find them all.
Really?
Yeah. Google lightsaber forms.
Wow.
They'll come up. But there was a special lightsaber form that Mace Windu used. It was called Vapad. And it was he engineered it. He back engineered that lightsaber form because it was a Sith lightsaber form.
Okay.
He engineered it to be used as Jedi, but you can use it against the Sith, and it works especially well against the Sith.
Oh, wow.
Which explains why, Darth Sidious or Palpatine, whatever you want to call him, killed 3 Jedi killed 2 Jedi immediately, and then the other one a couple seconds later, and then he couldn't get Mace Windu until, Anakin came in and screwed everything up. But are you looking up now the
I am.
forms? I think he uses Form 5. If I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Let's see. So there isn't a definite number for the exact quantity of lightsaber styles, but generally you can
Wikipedia. It's on Wikipedia.
Right. You probably have to look it up on that.
If you just Google lightsaber forms just Wikipedia, just type in lightsaber forms Wookiee, and then you'll see Wikipedia come up on the
Wikipedia.
But yeah, they're all on there. But yeah, so that's why he was able to You remember when that's how Palpatine's face starts to melt, is because Mace Windu is holding the lightsaber up against, and it's reflecting the lightning back onto him. Now that's a special lightsaber form. He was able to like channel his energy into the lightsaber, push the lightning, reflect it back onto him. That's why it started melting.
His face started melting. It was weird. He started looking like
his teeth started like turning yellow.
But I always thought that was his actual real form, and he was hiding beneath that.
You know what? I don't know what they consider canon to it, but if it's melted or that was his real form.
Right.
Because the thing is, and that's the other thing too, is about the Sith, is the supposedly if you really are deep into the dark side, it starts like deforming you.
Really?
Yeah. So it could
That's
be
crazy.
like the older Sith, Darth Malgus. He's in one of the games. That's how I know him. He kind of looks like, if you see him from far away, he kind of looks like if Vader didn't have a mask on.
Right.
He's bald and has like a couple scars on his face, and he's got like a ventilator. I don't know why he's got a ventilator, but over his mouth like this.
Okay.
But he's like really big.
But it's like what he has.
But his eyes are all black. And shit.
Wow!
Just like crazy. Vader's was. And when he takes off his mask in Episode 6, his eyes are all black and stuff like that. Supposedly, that has something to do with this. Like the Sith kind of like starts like degrading your like body. The dark side.
Wow.
Yeah. So what are you looking up?
No, what I'm doing right now is I'm inviting somebody to come down who's a big Star Wars nut just like us.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to get him in the seat here with us and have a little chat with him as well.
To have him down. So
you know what I mean?
Well, when he comes on, just hit
No, it's right here.
Yeah, one.
Number one. Yeah. We'll just turn him on. So no, it's crazy, that that you know all this stuff. I mean, I think I know all that stuff when I'm. And I know a lot, but I don't know as deep as you are. I mean, you're in there.
And
I think, and Justin is the same. He's pretty much the same way with that, with the Star Wars stuff. He's really good at it. So I'm trying to get him to come down here with us. But anyway, continue on your conversation. When he gets here, we're not going to wait for him. We're going to keep recording.
We'll keep recording. Hold on.
Why? Don't pause it. What's the matter? Why? What?
External mic. Oh, we're batting tonight.
Oh, come on, really?
Yeah, but it's all right.
Okay,
split into two parts. But
wow, that's all recorded. So we're having technical difficulties, as you can tell. I forget to record. He forgot to hit the certain button on the phone to record the video. So. Shit happens. What are you going to do? It's just one of those nights. We're doing this podcast. So if you're sitting and listening to this.
Kenny, you're not here. You're supposed to hold it together for us.
Just laugh. Just laugh your ass off and enjoy it. That's all. So, no, it's crazy that you know all this stuff. Like, I feel that way about, when it comes to Star Trek. And even me knowing what I know about Star Trek, I found that I don't know so much. I tried to do a trivia thing, and I was like, didn't know as deep as, like, beyond or behind the stories that you normally know. There was something else going on, and you didn't, that led to that. Like, okay, I guess I don't know as much as I thought I did, but it's amazing how much you know. You know?
And like I said, I follow all the Star Wars channels, and they talk about it. They talk about the books, so I know stuff about the books. Right. And that's the cool thing about the books too, is there's certain books that add more depth to the Star Wars lore. Like there's a cool book I want to get. It's called Vader Family at War or something like that, or Skywalker Family at War it's called. And they go into more depth of the storyline, like in Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
They actually go more into depth of what Vader was thinking.
Oh, what was going on with him
when kills like Palpatine and stuff like that. It's good stuff.
Right. Like he was just standing there watching, and then he just picked them up and chucked them.
That's actually where
my thing is, how does this guy survive Palpatine?
What do you mean?
Because well, technically he does in the other Star Wars movies that come later on.
Oh, you're talking about Luke. I thought you're talking about Vader.
No, I'm talking about Palpatine.
Oh,
how does he, when he kills him, throws him down the chute?
Well, that's the thing. They had to,
So how does this guy?
That's the thing that, we can talk about the sequel trilogy, is the storylines kind of, but, the good thing is you got Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni, he wrote the Clone Wars.
Okay.
Or directed.
So these are the guys who wrote these movies?
Or I don't know if he wrote it. I know he produced it, the Clone Wars. He also did The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Rebels, He's really good. So what he did is if you watch like The Mandalorian, they start tying that in together. He's just like they're like band-aiding it, the whole
right.
Somehow Palpatine has survived. That
Wow.
line that drives everybody crazy. I think that's Poe that says that, or not? Is it Poe? I think that says that somehow Palpatine has survived. But so like that's the whole thing with them. Remember, they were Grogu, like they wanted his because he had the high Mandalorian count, or M count as they call it. He had a Metachlorian count, so they needed his blood because they were doing the cloning. So supposedly they clone the Palpatine, and somehow his soul goes back into somehow they use some Sith alchemy to get his soul to go back into his own clone. Because if I cloned you, you wouldn't have your memories like you have now.
Right. It would just be a walking zombie.
Yeah,
much,
or no, you'd just be it would look like you, but it wouldn't be you because you would have the memories.
Everything, it would have its own.
Yeah,
have its own memories.
Yeah,
right.
So you'd have a different accent too. If I cloned you and put you in Arkansas, you'd be
right. Oh, please, yeah, get a straw hat. It's crazy.
It's a stereotype, no.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, yeah, so like they kind of tried band-aiding that all together,
right?
But I can't wait until they do that Mandalorian movie. So it's going to be good. It's because I think it's going to tie in the 3 series. I think the whole thing is that they're gonna the Thrawn. I think they're gonna tie in the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and the Ahsoka series all in one.
With the first episode we're doing.
Turn his mic up and swing it around.
Swing that around to you.
There you go. Look at that. Right off the cuff. Just bring it a little closer to you. So
right there. You're good
about here.
So everyone, this is Justin.
Yeah.
Hello.
He's also going to be doing our next podcast with us.
Actually.
So he's doing 1.5 with us right now.
Okay.
So you're helping us out with this one. We're doing like Tom is talking about everything from the series, from everything from he started from the beginning and did it chronologically. Is that what you said, Tom? You were doing it. He did it, and he watched all this
the Star Wars series.
All the Star Wars series,
yeah.
In that order.
Yeah.
It's a killer.
Yeah,
to go through.
The Clone Wars takes forever to get through.
Clone Wars does take forever.
Yeah,
because you have the whole series.
Right.
To get through.
Yeah.
And then we were just talking about how we were talking about, are they going to come out with a Vader series where it's just about Vader?
They should. And I think Hayden Christensen would be up for it.
I think that would be really fun. I know that there is a whole series of comics that they could go through to
that's what I'm saying.
Like absolutely crush a series.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I know the material's there for
the
it.
comic material alone.
I don't know if it's the first comic book, but the one where he has to bleed the crystal. He has to kill a Jedi
in order to get the crystal. He was
like
explaining to me how that works.
You got to kill a
Jedi
what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah, where he gets crushed.
You got to kill their. Do you have to kill them with their lightsaber, or just kill them with their own lightsaber?
I believe you just have to take a life.
Yeah, and then you get to kill with their own saber.
Yeah.
But, and then you get the lightsaber, and then you just bleed the crystals. What you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow! And that makes it red.
You have to pour your hate and anger, and then it cracks. And
there's bleeds. They do kind of go into the Force with like the Force does make kyber crystal red.
Okay,
and it requires a direct action of the dark side, interfering with the light side, aka someone killing a Jedi. Typically is the most direct route to that.
Exactly.
And so that makes your kyber crystals red. But yeah, there's so many great comic series. Aaron would have plenty to tell you about.
Oh, I'm sure
she loves the Vader comics.
Oh, so she's a Star Wars freak like you as well.
I mean, for the most part,
or is she more than you?
No. I'd say it's about
equal.
Same. I had to introduce her to the Clone Wars series.
Okay.
The last little bits of it. I didn't make her sit through absolutely everything. Because there's plenty there that just doesn't need to be.
Right.
But I got her through the whole Clone Wars series for the most part, and most importantly, the final season of the Clone Wars series, which was incredibly good.
Do you know what I did to watch the final season? The last 4 episodes take place during Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, did you split it up?
Yeah.
In between them.
Yeah. I'm such a fucking nerd. Because at the end of the one episode, when Ahsoka parts with Obi-Wan and Anakin, that's where the movie starts. Because they say, Coruscant's under attack, and we got to go. And like, so then you start the movie and it's right there.
Okay.
So, but it's weird though, because like, oh my God, I'm seeing them in live action because you watched an entire series of them, especially if you binged it like I did, of them in animated. So that's kind of cool. But then you got to find when to switch it back to the other episode.
There's a pausing point in the third
So I
movie.
wait until
you guys are crazy.
I wait until he's till Palpatine's like, have I ever told you the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? And then I go to the next one.
Yep. There's like standout scenes in that final season that let you know, because it's so tightly knit.
Did you do that as well?
I didn't do it that way, no, but it's very clear in the 7th season of Clone Wars, there are these standout scenes that like let you know exactly what's going on in episode 3.
Gotcha.
There's a moment where Ahsoka's on the ship.
A nice clue.
And she like feels the disturbance, and it's the exact same moment that Order 66 happens. So it's like you're getting the exact play-by-play.
Right.
And that's a really intense scene because you get to see how long, like the whole series, like they were the most trusted, and all of a sudden they flipped because they had that.
Yeah.
But they also show how some of them, one of them or two of them, had got that out of them, or I think it was Rex.
What was the Bad Batch? Was it? Is it Bad Batch?
Yeah,
Bad Batch. Yeah.
I watched that whole thing. That was awesome. I liked that. It was a little slow in the beginning when you started off, but then I liked the whole story. It was good. How many seasons was with that again?
I think there's 3 seasons of Bad Batch.
So I did watch them all. I did all of them. I watched them all.
There was 3 seasons, right?
Yeah, I think it was 3.
I actually
so they're tied in a way too, in some sense, aren't they?
In a sense, they kind of cover that very strange gap between the prequels and the originals.
Yeah.
They cover that weird space where there's not really a lot of content
after episode 3, because you're trying to, and they see how they phase out the clones too.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of that covered in Bad Batch.
Wow.
It's
amazing how they got it all tied together.
Yeah, I love the little things that they did with some standout clones that weren't directly affected or like somehow were able to bypass that.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really fun stuff. I know a lot of people in like the sort of Star Wars discourse are, with these newer stories coming out, starting to get tired of but there's this other Jedi that survived, because they're at like,
how many Jedi?
They're at like a dozen now that somehow miraculously survived.
Was there ever an actual number though
and you
that said how many survived?
Ezra, Ahsoka.
I'm sure.
Kanan. Well, Kanan died Rebels, but he survived Order 66. Yeah.
This is my point exactly. I'm pretty sure there's a YouTube video out there of this guy covering like how many more Jedi actually survived this. Was it actually that lethal, or is there just like 50 guys out there that are perfectly fine?
Could have been more than that. Seriously, I'm asking you. I don't know, because
it's either
they were hunting him down with the Inquisitors.
They were hunting him down with the Inquisitors.
So
there was also a period where there was Inquisitors that were hunting him down.
Right.
So it's strange, because it seems like the direction that they're going is Order 66 killed a lot of Jedi, but not
all of them.
Not everybody. Yeah. Maybe really only like 75%, 2/3, give or take. Because they're doing so many standout stories now, where it's like either it's someone who survived from the jump, or they were somewhere super far away, so they didn't have to deal with it, or even in some of these comic series now, you'll spend a bunch of time with this rather mysterious hermit-like character, and then it's like, oh, they're Jedi. So okay, sure, why not?
Obi-Wan being one of them.
Yeah, Obi-Wan being one of them, changing to Ben.
But Obi-Wan did lose it a little bit, because he had to get back in touch with the Force again, and he was not.
That's something that Dave Filoni borrowed from a lot of the comics, and also for the Kenobi series, borrowed from the Jedi Survivor games.
Okay.
With Cal Kestis.
Okay.
They did something really fun with like obviously with video game mechanics, you have to build the character over time.
Yeah.
Not exactly easy to do with the Jedi. They're kind of supposed to just do what they do.
Right.
But for him, the whole thing was that he spent a lot of time without using his powers, and so that's how you sort of level and build the character over time. as he regains his Force abilities, just like Obi-Wan did in the Kenobi series.
And then he gets it back.
Yeah. Gets it
at the right freaking time.
Yeah, all the way back.
Yeah,
all the way back.
I mean, he's pelted him with those freaking boulders. Man.
Yeah, it was an incredible scene.
Yeah, it was a great scene.
And it's like one of the only times that you get like a real show of his Force capability.
Yeah,
they do it a little bit in the Clone Wars series.
Yeah,
you'll get like
Obi-Wan
with Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan's so weird because it's like some people will just wreck him. He gets pushed in bad, and then other times you have these like miraculous moments with specifically Obi-Wan where he's doing things that scale him way above other people,
right,
in terms of power.
Well, we were just saying that too, that Obi-Wan was considered one of the like best. Wasn't he considered one of the best Jedis?
Well, they considered him the best in Form 2 Soresu.
Yeah. He is.
Yeah, no, I threw him off when I said that the first time.
He is the best in Form 2, by far. And they don't really depict many people doing Form 2 either.
Yeah,
it's like one of the rarer ones.
Now, is it one of the hardest ones? Is that why?
It's a defensive
It's just
form.
a defensive one, and nobody really is worried about doing that.
Right.
The only people that are worried about doing a defensive form are people who are regularly fighting people with lightsabers, which during the Clone Wars wasn't super prominent because there was only 2 Sith at a time.
Gotcha.
In the Old Republic days, which gets covered, I think, almost solely in games.
Yeah.
There's like
maybe books.
Maybe books. There's like almost no media on Old Republic until we got the one series.
High Republic. Acolyte.
High Republic is Acolyte. Yes. Old Republic was when there was like a lot of Form 2 users, or it was at least a little more normalized
before the rule of 2, when they were still,
because that was when there was an army of Sith.
Yeah, the Sith were still, the Sith were like Legion, and then they Darth Bane started the rule of 2.
Bane. I've never even heard that name.
Darth Bane's pretty sick nasty. He's probably one of the scariest Sith lords.
Worse than Darth Vader?
He was like, they took Darth Vader.
It's like a wizard, basically.
Yeah.
Really? On top of being a Jedi, and a
Force.
Sith.
He used the Force.
He was, and like just so wildly unkillable.
Yeah. They don't really explain it in the movies, but in the Clone Wars they show it a little bit. You know, the Sith also practice like Sith alchemy. Like there's a scene with him and what's his name? Darth Tyrannus.
Drawing a blank, but I know who we're talking about.
He's like royalty kind of. But anyway, they're like, you see him with like a cauldron or something like that, practicing Force alchemy, like or something.
Really?
Like that. Yeah, but they don't really show that. No.
Yeah. Darth Bane was
Dark
like
Force,
he's like a brutish character and is just wildly unkillable. There's like a bunch of cinematics of him getting rocked.
He reappears as because there's no such thing as like a Sith ghost, but there's Sith specters, and they can exist like in like these Sith nexuses or these
the in-between worlds and stuff like that.
Temples. Mm-hmm. No, they can only exist in like certain spaces.
It's like spiritual places, but for the dark side.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Like a Sith temple.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We were just talking about that in regards to Anakin with the was it the Sokoka? How is it pronounced again? The series?
Ahsoka.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And how she was in the in between with him.
Yes.
And how he was changing from
in the
Darth Vader and him the balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, the polarizing balance.
Yeah.
Where he's not necessarily balanced, but he's either on one side of the scale or the other.
Yeah, they're right.
Yeah. It's a very fun concept because everyone always wants to see it doesn't necessarily exist, but the theory of like a gray Jedi.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody always wants to see it, and it's like that's not supposed to necessarily exist.
Because I think Lucas said like because the Sith corrupts, the dark side corrupts, so you'll never be balanced.
But
if you were strong enough willed person, wouldn't that?
I don't think it matters.
It
just corrupts you.
I think George Lucas's point was that the dark side is an infectious thing. Yeah. So you can't have any amount of it.
You're gonna just take it.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. But if you're dead and you die during a redemption arc, I guess you can
jump back and forth
because you're not dead. You know, it can't corrupt you because you're dead.
Yeah.
So
because I was just saying to him, Darth Vader. Anakin, right? All the shit he did, and then he at the end kills.
I know. Literally killed planets of people.
Right. Right.
Somehow
and then all of a sudden now he does what he's supposed to.
You'll be all right.
Right. And right. She's a son and everything's supposed to be fine now.
Yeah. So, one life for billions. you save one.
Oh my God.
Makes up for million.
But when you think about it, though, it's like, it doesn't make sense.
No, not really.
Technically, he'd be thrown in jail. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no.
Well, there's a lot of theories on it because he created like an alternate ego.
Well, he died
Vader.
anyway.
So they say like, oh, Vader's the alternate ego.
But he did die anyway. So I mean, he died at the end. So
yeah.
And then he went to the good side.
I think probably one of my favorite things that the Clone Wars did was the episode where they went out into deep space.
Oh, when they the Mortis gods.
Yes, they met the actual like embodiments of light and dark, and then the Father.
They're going to get into that in the next season episode.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, what is that about?
So
there's the mother, the father. We never see the mother in the Clone Wars, but the father, the son, and the daughter. The daughter embodies the light side, and the son embodies the dark side.
Yeah.
Okay. And the father is, I guess, both. And I guess the mother
he's
both.
Strange. He's like is all neutral gray character who basically just tries to stop them from killing each other.
Wow. Okay.
Like on a daily basis. And yeah, no, I don't think there's any depiction of the mother yet, which is interesting.
But I think there's theories that she might be in the Ahsoka series.
I would imagine so.
And what would she be leaning towards?
Very powerful.
Who knows?
Gray or
I mean, there's like so many directions you could go.
The Dathomiri witches were afraid of whatever the fuck was on that planet.
Yeah.
Get the fuck off. So that's why I think it might be the mother.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that brings up a really good point. If the daughter is an embodiment of light, and that owl figure that Ahsoka regularly sees,
right,
and then the son, the son is supposed to be the embodiment of darkness, very Darth Maul-esque looking, edgy bad guy. The father is this gray neutral who looks very human in comparison to his children. My theory is that the mother could, and the reason that the Dathomiri were scared of her is that the mother could be the embodiment of like the deep space, like scary side of Star Wars.
Okay.
What's it called? Star Weirds, which is like a book thing.
Yeah.
Super scary Leviathan creatures out in deep space that have like made entire Star Cruisers disappear.
Yeah. And
and that's not good.
And you know what? That plays well too, because the Purrgil are like the only deep space creatures we ever see. So that would kind of tie it in that there's deep space, like
there's stuff that they could still
deep space.
Add on to it and build off of and make more stories, which is really cool. It's amazing how they come up with. But a lot of this stuff wasn't already out when the first Star Wars came out, right? It was just the comic books, the first series, right? That was it.
They've been just expanding,
and then from there they built the
Star Wars
the background. That's interesting. Well,
Dave Filoni, man, he took it and ran with it.
Yeah, it's a good thing,
and it's a good thing. Yeah,
I hope he takes over for Kennedy, but you know,
he took every little bit that George Lucas gave him and found a way to flesh it out and add even more lore to it.
Right.
And it's remarkable work, honestly. He did an incredible job.
That's awesome. Well, I think we had a good time doing this talk, and I appreciate you came in the middle of it.
I didn't came in the middle of 45s are usually cut off, so you see we're right there.
We got a little thrown off. We had some technical issues, but I'm glad you're here, and then we could do the next one. So anyway, Tom, thank you. Justin, appreciate it. And
may the force be with you.
And for you as well, sir. Live long and prosper.
May the fourth be with you.
May the fourth be with you.
We'll do another one in 2 minutes.
You got it.